everyone, welcome back to Come Hither with Heather. We are on a journey to help you discover and unleash the full potential of your voice. I'm your host, Heather, and today's episode is all about conquering the obstacles that often stand in the way of expanding your vocal range. So, we all want to hit those high notes, don't we? So, or we want to delve into those bassy notes down at the bottom of our range. But it's not always easy, right? It's like sometimes it feels like you're breaking through a barrier. What I'm wanting to do is help you to overcome those vocal limitations. So, let's dive in. First, let's address the common challenges that many singers face when they're trying to expand their vocal range. So this is like, students that will come in to see me and they will discuss that they are straining their voice. So they're maybe singing a song, they're trying to hit the notes and they are straining their voice. This is a really common issue when people are attempting low or high notes. And it's often because we're pushing too hard. You have to see it as you have to allow the voice to move into the next register and not force it. Okay, if you do, what happens is you end up with vocal fatigue and you can damage your voice. So we have spoken in the past about me having nodules in the past and having surgery and coming through that on the other side. And I would say, bad habits don't crop up overnight. They gradually happen because we want to be able to do something. So you want to sing a song, you want to hit the note, rather than take the time to sit back and plan how you're going to do it. Or train your voice to be able to hit the note. We just think, I'll just get louder and I'll just force my voice and it'll go there. And that becomes quite a weak, vulnerable area then. And then the next time you do it, you do the same again. And what we end up with, that's where we end up with either vocal strain or we have pops and cracks in the voice. And when I'll hear all the time, but when I try and hit high notes, my voice just pops and breaks. That's because there is like a gear shift. You have to get from one register up into the next register. So you can't just force it. It's like when you're driving a car, you have to put the clutch in and actually put the car into gear. You can't just ram it into gear. So you have to treat it gently. You have to also think about your speaking voice. Your speaking voice is your dominant voice. So your singing voice is not the dominant of the two. So we have to back off on the speaking voice to allow the singing voice to come in. Now, there's a thing called the tessitura, that's basically a posh word for the comfortable area of your range, basically where you are comfortable singing. It's where you're quite happy to use all the time and you kind of default into this area because it will be unique to you. And, all voices are different. Some are lower than higher than others. So, it's just yours and it's unique to you in the sense that that's where you feel comfortable and that's where you're most likely to go to sing. Now, when it comes to stepping out of that zone, it can be quite daunting and it can be quite challenging for many people. Cracks and pops, etc. are really something that I find with my students that they unfortunately don't go for it because it does that. So they don't go for the note because they have this fear inside them. So it holds them back from actually exploring any of the higher notes in their range because they're terrified that it pops and cracks and breaks. But it's what we have to hear is what happens when you try and do it and then establish, okay, so how are we going to help you navigate your way through there? because it's not about just doing the same thing every day and then going, yeah, well, every time I hit this note, my voice pops or cracks. Okay, so let's take it back a bit and see why that's happening, and help you with different exercises and changing your approach, looking at your tone, looking at your form, looking at the fundamental elements. Do we have the right things in there to help you achieve those notes? But for many, it's just the fear. It's the fear of, I don't want it to pop or crack or break, so I'll just not do it. I'll just not ever sing any of those notes. And what happens is, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I mentioned there about, breath control, breath support. That can also massively limit your ability to hit challenging notes, whether that be lower down or higher up. It doesn't really matter. It's again, it's all about the fundamentals in the background. We have to make sure that we have a plan, all right, and that you tackle it so that you kind of feel accomplished when you're able to fix that problem. So don't worry though, overcoming the limitations is totally possible, trust me. I'm going to give you just a few practical tips to help you expand your vocal range, okay? Always remember, vocal warm-ups are critical. Yes, I'm not going to say that they're dead exciting and you're going to love them, but they are what you should do before you start every single practice session. Doesn't matter whether you're just rehearsing for something or you're just having you think, oh, I want to try this new song. Make sure you warm up before it. A good warm up. Do gentle exercises, okay? And what happens is, if you do gentle exercises, these will help your voice adjust gradually, okay? So if you're looking to hit higher notes or lower notes, doing gentle exercises through those barriers, if you like, will help everything start to adjust and correct. But if you try and force it, it will not happen. I always talk about, when I'm talking to my students, I say to them, can you do the splits? So or would you just be able to do the splits immediately? Or would you, after time and flexibility and conditioning of those muscles, be able to do it? So you have to give things time. It's not going to happen overnight, especially if you've been doing it wrong, okay? It's not, when I say that, it's not going to happen overnight. I hear this all the time. Everyone's like, how many exercises will it take for this to be better? It is generally a slow and steady approach. If you push your voice far too hard too soon, yes, you will strain your voice. You want to gradually work on it over time. It is not a race, remember, it is a journey, all right? Learn proper breath control, okay? Learning and understanding the impact and how important the fundamental element of breathing is involved in singing. Good breath support is essential for reaching higher and lower notes. So if you have someone that can help you work on breath control, breath support, has a clear understanding of what that means, because a lot of people band that term around, breath support, breath control, and they actually have no idea what it means. And this is something that you need to fully understand this. As much as we like all the pretty bits, unfortunately, the pretty bits about singing, what I mean is, we love that part, but it's no use if the fundamentals aren't there. So it does take patience, and don't allow the exercises to frustrate you. It will come in time, okay? Now, when you have what we talked about earlier, your tessitura, what you don't want to do is just keep practicing in that range and not actually ever pushing yourself to achieve those lower notes or achieve those higher notes. You really want to be looking at the upper and lower ends of that tessitura. So where you get to the bottom end, don't just go, well, I can't hit that note. No, you need to try. Okay, so we need to try and navigate your technique to get you down to the notes that you're wanting to achieve. With practice in time, what you'll find is your tessitura expands. As your range expands, then the area that you are much more comfortable and happy, because it's just a given that you can do it. You have conditioned the muscles, you have learned good vocal technique, you are then able to do it. So it is all, it's not going to happen just by singing songs. You do have to think, okay, well, if I want to deal and tackle with these areas that the voice is shifting up a gear or down a gear, and I'm struggling to make that shift and for it to be quite seamless, you have to target that area and focus on it. And recording yourself is a really good way to measure how it's improving. And not just be, because it can be a bit like, well, I don't know how I did yesterday, so I've got nothing to measure it against. So recording just on voice memos on your phone is a good way to work on improvement, and seeing that improvement gives you something tangible to work with as well. So there you have it. Okay, overcoming vocal limitations and expanding your range is a journey that does require patience. It requires practice and proper guidance. So you can always get in touch with me. And if not, you want to get a hold of a good vocal coach that has a good understanding of vocal technique and is able to explain in a way that you will understand breath control, breath support, etc. And so that you understand why you're doing the exercises, and also what to look out for, what is right and what is wrong. Okay? So thank you for tuning into today's episode of Come Hither with Heather. I hope these tips help you shatter those barriers and explore the full potential of your voice. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with other singers who might also be struggling with their vocal range. As always, keep practicing, keep singing, and keep pushing your boundaries. Until next time, I've been Heather and I'm signing off. See you next time. Bye.